You know how a specific smell can just basically hijack your brain?
Oh, yeah, like, catching a whiff of a certain brand of old perfume.
Right. Or maybe like the smell of a very specific kind of rainy asphalt,
Mhm.
and instantly, like, you aren't an adult walking down the street anymore.
Mhm.
You are 7 years old, sitting in your grandmother's living room or, playing on your childhood driveway.
Yeah, it's instant time travel.
Exactly. Instant time travel.
It's an incredibly powerful phenomenon. I mean, the olfactory bulb, which processes smells, it has a direct line to the emotional and memory centers of the brain.
Right.
So we tend to accept, like, without question, that certain senses can just entirely bypass our logic,
Yeah.
and they just drag these incredibly vivid memories right up to the surface in a fraction of a second.
We totally accept that. It's just it's a quirk of being human, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But welcome to the deep dive, because today we are taking that exact concept and applying it to something much more physical and honestly, a lot more baffling.
It really is baffling.
Right. We are diving into this incredibly fascinating article on somatic psychology. We're looking at the hidden memory of our nervous system
Yeah.
in a very, very physical approach to inner child self-care.
Yeah, and the mission for this deep dive is really to figure out why a seemingly harmless physical action can trigger such deep emotional distress.
Exactly. And more importantly, like how we can actually use our own bodies to heal those old psychological wounds.
It is a remarkable piece of writing, honestly, because it challenges our fundamental understanding of where our history lives.
Hmm.
It moved the concept of memory out of the brain's, like, filing cabinets and into the physical tissue of the body itself.
Yeah, and the hook in this text, the thing that made me stop and say, wait, I have definitely felt this before, is this highly relatable phenomenon.
Yeah.
So imagine you were just sitting there, maybe your arm falls asleep or you're brushing some lint off your shirt and you tap your own arm or your shoulder just a little bit too firmly. And suddenly, out of nowhere, your chest tightens. Or you get this sudden, unexplained feeling of, like, suffering.
Yeah, or this intense urge to cry.
Exactly, an urge to cry.
Yeah.
It's not warm nostalgia like the perfume. It's a physical sensation triggering a hidden emotional alarm.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack this right out of the gate. How does a simple physical tap instantly translate into emotional panic?
Well, so we tend to think of memories as digital files stored in a folder, right?
Right.
Like you click the folder labeled childhood event and you consciously read the data. You recall what happened, who was there, what the weather was like.
The narrative of it.
Exactly, the narrative. But this source material breaks down early and intense memories entirely differently.
Okay.
They aren't just saved as chronological events that you can voluntarily recall. They are saved as a package deal.
A package deal. Wait, what goes into that package?
The three main components get bundled together in a split second.
Okay.
You have the event itself, the physical sensation experienced in that specific moment, and the raw emotion.
Wow, okay. Yeah, whether that emotion is like intense fear, profound sadness, or just a deep sense of loneliness.
So they're all locked together.
Exactly. So imagine a child experiencing something overwhelming. Maybe they were handled roughly, or they experienced a sudden physical pain in a moment of extreme stress.
Hmm.
The nervous system doesn't just record the story of what happened. It essentially bundles the physical feeling of that touch with the emotional terror of the moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they become inextricably linked.
So the physical sensation on the skin and the emotional state are fused together into one single memory.
They are completely fused. I mean, we are talking about somatic memory here,
Right.
which is essentially the physical memory of an experience stored directly in your body's tissues and nervous system rather than in your conscious thinking mind.
That is wild.
And that somatic memory is the mechanism that answers your question about the sudden panic.
Right, the tap on the arm. Yeah. When you experience a similarly physical stimulus later in life, even a completely harmless, self-inflicted tap on your own arm, that fused package is activated.
Okay.
But here is the critical part. It doesn't activate all at once.
Oh, what part fires first?
The emotional memory bypasses logical thought and fires first.
Wait, really?
Yes, your sensory nerves remember the physical signature of the touch, and they instantly pair it with the old distress before your brain can even process what is happening.
So your brain doesn't even have the time to say, like, hey, it's just me tapping my own arm. We're fine.
Not at all. I mean, the logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, is incredibly sophisticated, but it is relatively slow in these high-stakes moments.
Interesting.
The body's threat detection system, which is primarily driven by the amygdala, is lightning fast.
Right.
So it feels the tap, recognizes the physical signature of a past trauma, and floods your system with the corresponding emotion instantly.
And that is why you are left feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. That's why you want to cry, or you feel a heavy tightness in your chest without any logical reason. The context of the memory is missing, but the physiological feeling is very, very real.
But hold on. That sounds incredibly frustrating.
Oh, it is.
Like, if I am perfectly safe in my own house, why is my nervous system throwing me into a panic over a simple tap on the arm?
Well,
Isn't that a massive evolutionary design flaw? Like, it feels like the body is glitching by giving us the sheer panic without any of the context required to understand it.
it definitely feels like a glitch.
Right, like why would our bodies hold on to this pain without giving us the conscious memory to process what we're actually reacting to?
So if we pull back and look at the bigger picture, it is crucial to understand that this is not a glitch at all.
It's not.
No. The source makes a very strong, very compassionate point of reframing this entire process.
Okay.
When people feel that sudden wave of unexplained panic or sadness from a simple touch, their first instinct is usually shame.
Oh, yeah. Like, what's wrong with me?
Exactly. They feel weak or broken or overly sensitive, but this reaction is absolutely not a sign of emotional weakness.
Right.
It is, in fact, your mind working desperately and efficiently to protect you.
Protecting me.
Yeah.
By making me panic over a tap on the arm when I'm just sitting on my couch.
I know it sounds counterintuitive.
How is that protective?
We have to look at the context of when this alarm system was originally installed. Think about the reality of childhood.
Okay.
In childhood, a person often cannot control or escape dangerous or painful situations. You are physically small. You are completely dependent on the adults around you for survival.
Yeah, you can't just leave.
Right. You lack the autonomy to simply walk out the front door if a situation becomes threatening, chaotic, or painful.
You are entirely powerless to change your environment.
Completely powerless. And because the child is powerless to physically escape or change the environment, the mind does the only thing it can possibly do to ensure survival.
Which is?
It installs a highly sensitive warning switch deep in the nervous system. It essentially makes a biological calculation. It says, okay, we couldn't escape this time, but I'm going to make sure we are on high alert so we see this coming next time.
So it burns it in.
Yes, it burns that physical sensation into the nervous system so you can anticipate and survive the threat in the future.
I mean, that makes total sense for a powerless kid. It's a survival tactic.
Exactly.
But I am an adult now. I have autonomy. I can walk out the door. I can protect myself, you know.
Right, but the problem is that the nervous system doesn't wear a watch.
Oh, man.
And it doesn't check your ID to see how old you are, you know.
Right, right.
As an adult, even when you are in your own home, completely removed from the people who hurt you, that switch remains active.
That is so frustrating.
It is. The body's reaction, that sudden chest tightness from a tap on the arm, is a sign of an undigested experience. It is a historical record of a time you desperately needed protection, and that part of your nervous system is basically demanding to be acknowledged.
Wow, that completely changes the framing of the panic.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like a smoke detector that goes off when you're just making toast.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
Right, it's doing exactly what it was programmed to do.
Yeah.
It senses a particle in the air, and it sounds the alarm to save your life. It is actually a perfect piece of survival machinery. It just doesn't know it's only toast.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. The smoke detector isn't broken, it's just calibrated to an environment that no longer exists.
Wow.
The perceived threat is in the past, but the alarm is firing in the present.
But if the smoke detector goes off every single time I make toast, the logical part of my brain knows there is no fire, right?
Right.
So my question is, why can't we just use that logic to turn the alarm off? Why can't I just tell my nervous system, hey, we are 35 years old now, we are safe, turn the panic off?
Because your nervous system doesn't speak English.
Oh, fair point.
It really doesn't. It doesn't respond to intellectual reasoning or logic when it is in a state of hyperarousal. It speaks the language of sensation. And this is where the source introduces a truly profound physical antidote.
I'm ready for the antidote.
Since the logic of the mind cannot turn off the alarm of the body, we have to use the body to soothe the mind.
How do we actually do that? Like, practically?
The source provides a very specific first step for healing. It involves replacing the strong, triggering stimulus with a remarkably gentle one.
Gentle, too.
The text instructs that if you tap yourself or something touches you and you suddenly feel that emotional distress rising, you shouldn't try to reason your way out of it.
Don't logic it away.
Exactly. Instead, immediately take your fingertips and lightly brush the previously tapped area.
Just brush it.
Yes. But the crucial key here is the pressure. It has to be so light that it feels almost ticklish.
Wait, ticklish.
Yes, almost ticklish.
Okay. Usually when we talk about nervous system regulation, which, for anyone listening who isn't familiar, basically just means helping your body shift from that high alert panic mode back to a calm, resting state. You almost always hear about the benefits of deep pressure.
Right, like deep pressure therapy.
Yeah. Weighted blankets, tight hugs, firm compression therapy. The prevailing idea is that heavy weight grounds you when you're panicking, you know. But this source is emphasizing ticklishness. Like the sheer weightlessness of the touch is what signals the safety. That feels entirely counterintuitive to everything we were usually taught about stress relief.
I completely agree. It does seem counterintuitive at first, especially given how popular deep pressure therapy has become recently.
Yeah, everybody has a weighted blanket now.
Exactly. But we have to look closely at the specific psychology of the trauma we are trying to address here. Deep pressure is indeed excellent for grounding a scattered or anxious nervous system. However, if the trauma you are carrying is rooted in being physically overpowered, struck, confined, or handled roughly, deep pressure might actually mimic the very thing the body is terrified of.
Oh, because deep pressure requires physical force.
Yes.
And force is what the body remembers as dangerous.
Exactly that. Even a well-intentioned, comforting hug involves being physically restricted.
Right.
The nervous system might interpret that restriction as a trap. But a ticklish sensation, the psychology of ticklishness, is fascinating.
Tell me more about that.
Well, as the source notes, that incredibly light, feathery sensation sits much closer to feelings of safety, playfulness, and relief than fear.
Okay, that makes sense.
Think about the physical mechanics of a feather-light touch. A hand that is totally relaxed, barely grazing the skin, physically cannot inflict harm.
Oh, wow.
It completely lacks the kinetic energy required to be a weapon.
So a relaxed, feather-light hand
Yep.
naturally conveys a biological message of, like, I have no intention of harming you.
Yep.
It is physically proving its own safety by its inability to cause pain.
It is a biological translation of safety. So if you are listening to this and you accidentally trigger that panic response while sitting at your desk, brushing off your shoulder, you have the power to instantly rewrite that code.
That is so empowering.
It really is. When you gently brush your own arm with that ticklish lightness, you are directly communicating to your inner child that stored emotional memory that they no longer need to be afraid.
Wow.
The nervous system feels that weightless touch and slowly begins to realize, okay, the heavy hand is gone. The striking hand has been replaced by a gentle one.
So you are overriding the old programming
Yeah.
using the exact same interface where it was installed your skin.
Precisely.
That is brilliant. But let's look at the harder reality of this, because gentle touch is wonderful for calming down in the aftermath of a trigger.
Right.
But what happens when that ingrained urge to actively, aggressively tap or strike or punish oneself returns?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Because that is a very real cycle for a lot of people. You feel an emotional pain, you blame yourself, physical tension builds up, you lash out at your own body, and the cycle repeats. How do we actively interrupt that specific moment of self-directed aggression?
The source actually provides a very powerful active intervention technique for exactly that moment.
Oh, good.
It's one thing to soothe yourself after the fact, but it's another entirely to stop the cycle of harm in its tracks.
Exactly.
So the text advises that if you go to hit, forcefully tap, or roughly handle yourself in a moment of frustration, you must immediately use your opposite hand to firmly grab that wrist and stop the motion midair.
Wait, you physically arrest your own movement.
Yes.
You just grab your own wrist and hold it there.
Yeah, you physically intercept the aggression, and the symbolic reality of this action is what makes it so deeply effective. Well, the hand that is holding the wrist represents the present you, the capable adult you who has autonomy and strength. The hand that is being held, the one that was just about to strike, represents the past, You, the inner child who is acting out of distress, frustration, and old patterning.
So your adult self is literally physically stepping in to act as the bodyguard that your childhood self never had.
Yes.
That is nothing short of emotional time travel.
It truly is. By grabbing your own wrists, you physically enact being protected right now in the present moment, even if no one was there to protect you in the past.
Wow.
You're providing the tangible physical boundary that was missing during those formative years. It is a profound moment of self-parenting.
That is heavy.
It is. You aren't just sitting there thinking about being safe or trying to logically convince yourself you are safe. You are physically demonstrating to your nervous system that a capable adult is on duty.
I love that. A capable adult is on duty.
And that adult will not allow harm to occur on their watch.
That is incredibly intense. I mean, imagine the feeling of that duality being both the fierce protector and the vulnerable person being protected simultaneously inside your own body.
It's a very powerful state to be in.
And the source doesn't just leave it at the physical block, does it? There is a spoken component that anchors this whole intervention.
Yes, to merge the cognitive reassurance of the present with the physical action of the boundary, the source suggests repeating an internal mantra while you are holding that wrist.
What's the mantra?
The suggested phrase is, I won't let anyone hurt me anymore. And that goes for myself too.
And that goes for myself too. That is the most important part of the sentence, isn't it?
It is the absolute core of the healing process. Because very often, the adult survivor of a difficult childhood unknowingly becomes the very perpetrator of the harshness they experience.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
They internalize the rough treatment, the criticism, the physical lack of care, and they continue to inflict it upon themselves long after the original threat is gone.
They just take over the job of the abuser.
Exactly. By saying this mantra while holding your wrist, you are building a bridge between your logical adult brain and your somatic memory. You are declaring an absolute non-negotiable moratorium on harm, both external and internal.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the person listening to this right now?
Right.
This wrist grab technique, the feather light touch it, is a profound, life-changing level of self-parenting. But how does this fit into the reality of a busy everyday life?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. I feel like sometimes when we talk about inner child work or somatic healing, it sounds like you need to take a 6-month sabbatical, move to a quiet cabin in the woods, and spend 3 hours a day meditating and crying.
Right, which nobody has time for.
Exactly. How does a listener actually integrate this without it feeling like another massive, heavy emotional chore on their to-do list?
Well, what is incredibly encouraging here is the source's explicit advice for long-term integration. The text makes it very clear. This does not require a strict daily schedule.
Oh, thank goodness.
It is not an hour-long somatic meditation that you have to force yourself to do every single morning at 5 a.m. It is purely about utilizing micro moments.
Micro moments, I like that.
Yeah. It's about taking just a few minutes before bed as you are falling asleep, or applying these techniques exactly in those unpredictable, chaotic moments when the chest feels tight during a stressful workday.
For anyone listening who feels completely overwhelmed by the constant barrage of self-improvement homework out there, this is so refreshing.
Absolutely.
You don't need to book a retreat. It's just using these micro moments of mindful touch exactly when you need them. Like you are sitting at a red light, you feel the chest tighten, you apply the feather touch to your arm, you get frustrated at a mistake you made, you feel the urge to strike your leg, you grab your wrist.
It is an as-needed intervention that over time slowly becomes a background habit.
Okay, so it gets easier.
Much easier. As you practice this, neuroplasticity begins to work in your favor. Your body learns to notice its own tension and release it earlier and earlier in the cycle. Eventually, you start catching the urge before the arm even begins to move. You rewrite the pathway before the signal even fires.
That's amazing.
But the text is also careful to remind us that the ultimate goal of all of this isn't just to, erase pain.
Right, because pain is part of life.
Exactly. Pain, frustration, and sadness are inevitable parts of the human experience. The real goal is to remember how to treat oneself with care when that pain arises.
It's about fundamentally shifting the baseline relationship you have with your own physical form, right?
Exactly.
Moving it from a relationship of punishment or indifference to a relationship of active stewardship.
The text stresses a beautiful fundamental truth. Acknowledging your own existence and treating that existence gently is the absolute foundation of healing the inner child.
That's really profound.
We spend so much of our lives waiting for an external source, a romantic partner, a parent who finally apologizes, a mentor to validate our pain or offer us the gentle treatment we missed out on.
We really do.
But this approach teaches us that you don't need anyone else's validation first. You have the power, literally right there in your own hands, to provide the exact physical and emotional safety your nervous system has been craving for decades.
Wow.
Hmm.
So let's take a step back and look at the whole narrative arc we've traced today.
Yeah, let's do that.
We started with this bizarre, frustrating phenomenon where a simple accidental tap on the arm can send you into an emotional spiral.
Right.
But we've unpacked the biological mechanics of how our nerves act as historians, bundling the event, the sensation, and the emotion into a single somatic memory.
Hmm.
And then we reframed that glitch, realizing that the body's overreaction is actually a fierce, desperate desire to protect us, much like a hyperactive smoke detector that refuses to turn off.
Yeah, and we explored the physical antidotes required when logic fails.
Right.
We discussed how we can use a feather-light, ticklish touch to communicate absolute biological safety to a nervous system that is bracing for a blow.
That part was fascinating.
And we detailed how the wrist-holding technique allows the present self to physically intervene and protect the past self, cementing that protection with a powerful internal declaration of safety.
It's taking the concept of "I've got your back" and applying it internally to your own physical body.
It is. And, if we take a moment to extrapolate from the logic of this source material, it leaves us with a truly fascinating question to ponder.
Oh, I love these. Lay it on me.
Well, if our bodies are so incredibly efficient at storing emotional history, like if a simple accidental tap on the shoulder can recall decades-old fear and instantly transport us back to a moment of total powerlessness,
Right.
what kind of positive, joyful memories might we be able to intentionally program into our nervous system right now?
Oh, wow. I never even thought about the reverse application of that mechanism.
If physical touch is the interface for memory, can we use specific, comforting physical sensations today to deliberately leave a trail of somatic breadcrumbs for our future selves to find?
Wait, like what kind of sensation?
Like maybe a certain way we fold our hands together when we feel relaxed. Or the feeling of the sun on our face during a moment of profound gratitude, or the specific texture of a favorite sweater when we feel totally safe.
I love that.
Can we consciously build a reservoir of physical triggers that instantly flood us with a sense of peace, capability, and absolute belonging?
That is an incredible thought to end on. Like, we don't just have to be at the mercy of the old alarms. We actually have the architecture to install new, beautiful ones.
You really do.
That is something to really sit with and explore on your own. To everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
Next time you catch a whiff of that old perfume, or you feel the sudden urge to brush off your shoulder, remember just how much power you hold in your own hands. Treat yourself a little gentler today. You have absolutely earned it.